What should not be Googled in any way? Any of your symptoms. Don't try to find out through Google what's wrong with you. It's the quickest way to go to lose your mind. I had a severe headache once. Google told me I had a huge tumor in my head, brain cancer, and possibly a broken jaw. Jesus Christ, get well soon, he's not going to get better. It is 100% fatal out of 0% of the reported cases. Especially don't Google about symptoms of psychological illness. I've already put myself down for autism and schizophrenia once, having read all kinds of crap, even though in reality I'm just an anxious person. Cyclopia among humans. I made a big mistake after watching Futurama. One of the characters, Lila Cyclop, she only has one eye. As it turns out, the human cyclopia, a fatal birth defect, not the cool science fiction stuff I expected to see. Seriously, do not Google it. How does it look? A person does not always have only one eye for this defect. More often, there is only one eye socket, in which both eyes try to fit. Thank you. Now I'm not Googling that. And I Googled it. Now I regret it. Scalped wound. My daughter, a gynecologist doctor, injured her finger like that a couple of years ago by dropping an iron door on it. There was blood everywhere, all over the place. We took her to the hospital and she had the next skin reattached. After a few more surgeries of the rehab period, she was able to resume her career, including the surgeries she performs. Jimmy Fallon kind of had a scalped wound a couple of years ago. That was the first time I had heard of it at the time. He seemed to have recovered and was doing fine. But after that incident, I decided to give up wearing the rings. My first thought, don't Google the name of the show you're currently watching on Netflix, because you'll run into spoilers. You are the one who gives us hope for the future. Carbuncle. Are you expecting to see the cute blue vixen from Final Fantasy? Yeah, right on. Man, how come I never knew about this? You just killed Carbuncle in my eyes. There was this music group from Indonesia a few years ago. I don't know if they still have them now or not. Anyway, a hardcore punk band named after a song Under 18 by the classic New York hardcore band Warzone. Song Under 18, about how parties should be for all ages, and in general for all people around. Once sitting at my house with a friend, and I put him on to listen to this Indonesian band. But he decided to Google them to find out more information about them. He Googled Indonesian hardcore under 18 on my computer. In short, because of him, I'm definitely on some kind of list right now. Well, what can I say, except that he should have expected what he saw. I have a similar theme. I watched a movie Bound from the directors of The Matrix. The movie is awesome, highly recommended. There was a song playing in the movie that I wanted to download, performed by a Chicago lesbian band from the 90s, pretty unpopular, but still. They decided to call their album Sex Child. I consider myself a pretty brave guy, but that's something I would never Google in my life. I think they wanted to add to their epitaph with that name, but ended up shooting themselves in the foot. Nice try, FBI. Not today, CIA. Leave me alone, KGB. Anything related to the crime you're about to commit. How do you cross a road at a red light? FBI, open up! Police car siren sounds. I periodically worry about my search history. I'm really just a curious person. That is, for example, I sometimes read articles related to this or that crime, and at such moments my curiosity inevitably increases. And eventually, I start Googling everything related to that crime. The other day I read a news story about one through my neighborhood. He was arrested and then released after being charged with taking pictures of school children in a public place. He didn't actually do it. He was just a shitty driver from the wheelbarrow. But that photo also got school children in the background, and someone complained to the police via Facebook. This news prompted me to Google and find out, without a backward thought, if it's legal to photograph children in public places in the UK. If I'm ever falsely accused of a crime, there's a pretty good chance my search history could be used against me. That's why the right to privacy and confidentiality on the internet needs to be protected at a much higher level than it is today. Analyzing people's online behavior is more like analyzing their thoughts than the behavior itself. Of course, you are responsible for some of your online actions. However, communicating and browsing should be seen as personal, as a compulsive thought, or as an innocent dream of the user. Mr. Hands, aka Kenneth D. Pinion. The main part is that the very video is on IMDb. It now has a score of 6.9 out of 10. I think the main part is that this video is not the case that he died from. Yeah, guys, the guy decided that this horse's dick wasn't big enough. Who the fuck is Mr. Hands, and why is everyone so afraid of him? It's the video of the guy getting fucked to death by the huge horse. Okay then. I'll try to pretend I never read that. Google. If you Google Google, anyone who's around at the time will consider you dumbass. If you Google Google, you will break the internet. Please never do that. even for fun. Fournier's gangrene. I worked in the burns and intensive care unit. I've seen it, of course. It was mostly seen in elderly people, diabetics, truck drivers. It is a wildly neglected disease. The pictures on Google are just shocking. Do people stupidly ignore their condition and let the disease develop to the point where it's all black, it eats away at the flesh? I think if I had even a hint that my penis or nutsack was starting to rot or stink, I would go to the doctor right away. Just judging from the pictures, there must be a horrible stench. Do the patients have some kind of mental problem? Is there such a possibility? Or why don't they seek help right away? It's scary for those who have brought themselves to this state. From the cases I've encountered, I can tell you that gangrene can start with a little crap like pimple. The problem is that sometimes it develops extremely quickly. In practice, I have encountered cases where from a small red spot to a huge swollen gangrene been less than a day. Tip for everyone. If you're afraid of stumbling across horrifying pictures, use Urban Dictionary website. Just an incredible idea. Dude, thanks. You saved some people from getting PTSD today. In general, I support schools in web safety for their children. One day we got a call, and we're told that they had an engineering class, and the kids were asked to search the internet for an image of a thing longer than 15 centimeters. Yes, you shouldn't Google it, unless Safe Search is on. I always laugh on keywords in the browsing history. Some of the requests from middle school kids are really hilarious. Tell us more, please. Mostly horribly mangled words of sex-related terms. Pennies, how to do sex, scalped wound. Seriously, don't. Yes, I'm a nurse, and that kind of thing makes me sick. Worse only if you could Google the smell of gangrene. Believe me, it's a smell you'll never forget in your life. In 2008, in my first year of involvement in insurance litigation, I investigated an accident. A woman was working on some kind of lathe, and she took the cover off to check the machine. She was wearing a shallow shirt, and her sleeve simply got stuck in lathe. Her arm was dragged down to her elbow. The skin has completely come off hand. The worst pictures I've ever seen. Harlequin ichthyosis probably spelled it wrong, but I'm not going to Google the exact name to tweak it. Harlequin ichthyosis is considered the most severe and uncontrollable type of ichthyosis. The disease is congenital. When a child is born, his skin is covered with grayish-brown scales, which are up to 1 centimeter thick. You can see between them deep cracks. The hard scales are tightly glued together, causing the baby's mouth to be either stretched or narrowed, so it is difficult to pass a feeding tube through the lips. Because of skin abnormalities, the eyelids are averted, the snug shells are damaged, skeletal defects are observed, and nails are often missing. There are bridges between the fingers and toes. The body of a baby born with a Harlequin's ichthyosis is unable to regulate the water balance in the tissues and cannot fight pathogenic germs. Because of this, most babies die soon after birth from lack of water in the body or from germs. I guess it's better not to Google pictures. No, I'm not the one who just Googled all the comments in this thread. Put some bleach on my eyes. Google mountain chicken. Nothing horrible or nasty there. Just dumb. How the fuck do you call a frog a mountain chicken? Reddit 50/50? Googled. That was the first and last time I've ever Googled anything listed in this thread. I'm so wildly curious and wondering what's coming out. That said, no idea what it could be. This is a topic on the Reddit. The title gives 2 variations of what is on the link attached below. Typically of those 2 options, the link gives the worst one. A dwarf woman soprophile with ugly boobs. Why would you Google such a thing in the first place? For the sake of science, of course. Blue waffles. The perfect disease for Redditors. After all, their sex life is as bogus as this disease. I must fight with the desire to Google all of it. Tukchar Massacre. Documentary with beheading in Dagestan. Russian soldiers in Dagestan surrendered to extremist forces in the hope of becoming prisoners. Unfortunately, they were deceived, and Chechen commander Umar Edil Sultanov ordered his soldiers to slit the captives' throats in revenge for their fallen comrades. You can hear the screams of the young lads and their futile attempts to stay alive on these recordings. Oh, I have here a huge list. Run the Gauntlet website. The site is built like a challenge with levels in which you watch the toughest nasty videos and from all over the internet. It's not so bad at first, but it gets tougher with each level. Armin Maywes. Crime scene photos. Don't. Bryce Williams the video. Isn't that bad, but I don't recommend. Ed Gene's Creations. It's not outright bad. It's more of a slightly shocking. Death in the bathroom from the shotgun. Not worth it. Obdulia Sanchez. Video live. Isn't exactly harsh, but the overall situation is frightening. Gabriel Kuhn and Daniel Petri. If interested, Google and read their story, but don't look at the pictures. Nikki Katsuras. Pictures of death. Don't. Scalped facial wound. Don't Google it, seriously. Stacy Wilson bus crime photos. Tough. Don't Google it. Body Farm. A scientific research facility that studies the decomposition of the human body under various conditions. Not so tough at all, plus from a scientific point of view it is useful. Some of you will want to Google everything I wrote above, so I tried to briefly assess the degree of stiffness. I'm curious as to how you learned about all of this. This knowledge came at the cost of a few viruses on my cell phone and a week without sleep. You said viruses? Nah, I'll pass. Run the Gauntlet will make many people depressed. I was depressed for a week after watching these videos. As you go through, you will see real torture in the woods. How children are run over by trains, scary shit. Don't go to this site. In general, of course, do not Google any of the following. It's not worth it. Modified. I wanted to add that that site shows animal torture as well as the result of a serial killer. And yes, I wrote that I got depressed for a week. But keep in mind that even 4 years after watching those videos, I still have an imprint on my soul from what I saw. Don't let morbid curiosity take control of you. Thank you very much for watching. You can write in the comments under the video what you shouldn't Google by any means. And don't forget to watch our other episodes. That's it. Bye-bye.